Mike, it's so good to see you again, and this is kind of a new era for us on
It is.
On our podcast and on our YouTube channel, and wherever else we put these, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, whatever. I'm excited because I think this is going to allow us to put out more content and do it more efficiently. And hey, it still looks good and sounds good, especially you, Mike. You look great today.
Thank you. I got dressed up just for this. Took off the sweatpants, took off the hoodie, got into some real clothes just for this podcast today.
Because it is wet and cold here in normally sunny Arizona. It's weird.
It drizzled for like 24 hours. What is up with that?
I don't know.
That's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
It's not allowed.
We're gonna put an end to it. So
yeah.
Speaking of rain, today, Mike, we're talking about finding your audience, or identifying your audience rather, because they're already there. And specifically, we're talking about content creation. And as we've talked about before on the Remarker Brand podcast, which you should totally go subscribe to and check out the latest episodes. Content creation should not come before you have identified your audience. Why is that?
No, it really shouldn't. No, because your audience really should drive where you're talking and what's of interest, right? Like what you're talking about at some level, right? We talk about how you always start with your own identity. You start with your own brand first, right? Your own kind of unique view of the world and the industry you're in and the services you're providing. But that next step really is your audience. Like, who is it you're talking to, and why do they even care about you? And what are the intrinsic problems that you're there to help them solve that they're encountering? If you don't do that ever, you're going to be really missing the boat at some level with your content. And then on top of that, like, how do you know where you should be? Where should your content live? Where should you be promoting it? Where should you be putting it out in the world? The only right answer is wherever your audience lives. And if, like a lot of firms, I think you think about your audience, and sometimes the easy answer is like, well, it's everybody, right? It's every business, or it's every high net worth individual. Okay, I guess if you're a really big multinational firm, maybe you can make that claim. I'd still argue there's probably an edge to that that is maybe smaller than everyone. But if you don't narrow down, you're really going to be kind of unfocused with anything that you put out, whether it's from the message standpoint, whether it's from a channel standpoint, even budget, right? What should you be spending? And so I think there's a lot of opportunity when you really dig into your specific audience and you say, these are the kinds of people that we're really good at helping, right? And again, we talk about how, every audience is like a target. There's different levels to that target. There's different concentric circles. And what's really interesting is, like a target, maybe you've played darts in the bar or whatever, maybe at home. When you throw the dart, you don't aim at the whole target, right? In fact, that's really hard to do. You can't even kind of put your eyes on the whole thing all at once. You always put your eye on that little bullseye right in the middle. And what happens is not that you hit the bullseye every time, right? Even the best, dart player, the best, bow shooter of arrows. I don't know what you call that.
Archer.
Clearly.
Archer.
Yeah, archer. That's the word. I should have that one down. You're aiming at that bullseye, and you know that you have a higher frequency, higher likelihood of hitting that bullseye if you really hone in on it. But what else happens when you miss it? Well, then you're only missing by degrees of inches, right? And so you're unlikely. You're much less likely to go totally off the target. And so by identifying, like, here's our target, here's our big target, here are concentric circles down to here is our bullseye. Here is the perfect ideal client for us that we are like absolutely best suited to serve. And if we can get in front of them and we can put our advertising and our messaging and our content in front of them, and it's the right content, really, we're throwing it hard, it's got a sharp point on it, it is a perfect dart, right? That's where the message really matters. But we're aiming at that bullseye, then we're more likely not only to hit the bullseye and get that ideal client, Well, we're going to get some outliers too that are still within a really good target for us that we're going to do a great job serving. And then I think on the other end of this, identifying who is not on that target board, right? Who is just totally off the field. That might be a little bit harder because there's going to probably be a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations that are not a good fit. But maybe identify a few that maybe you've been tempted towards in the past, or where maybe you've developed some marketing in the distant past and you're not pursuing that anymore. And really say, okay, that's someone we're not going after. Let's not invest there. Let's not put time and energy into really defining that message and really defining that market and really defining the places, the channels that we should be promoting our content. And instead really hone in on this particular bullseye and these concentric circles out.
Yeah.
And that really, I think, is the whole entire gist of the article that we put together this month.
Yep.
And, obviously we break that down, right? So each of those elements has its own nuances. But I think that's why really honing in on your audience can be so powerful for your marketing.
I think we might have mentioned this on the podcast. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to your customers, your current clients, maybe past clients, maybe people in the industry, and ask them, hey, what's keeping you up at night? What problems are you encountering? And it doesn't have to be a sales call, right? But go and ask, call somebody and say, hey, what are you currently having issues with right now? Or maybe that's something the partners of your firm are already doing, and you could tap into that on the marketing side. So
the reality is your partners, others in business development within your firm, are having conversations every single day about the pain points that the clients are having, especially prospects. That's where I think you want to lean in the hardest.
Yeah.
Your existing clients are also great places to go. You'll get some really good unfiltered responses from them. But talking first internally around staff that are front facing, who are interfacing with clients, interfacing with prospects all the time, ask them, what are the key challenges? What are the key problems that they're encountering? What's the context that they're in? Where do they go and research and find information? Where do they find resources? Where do they find another firm? Right? Where are they looking for those things?
Yeah.
Who are they talking to? Who are they asking? This is a really interesting one. I don't think we even covered this in the article, but who are the influencers that they listen to? And it might be referral partners that you already know. That's great. You might be surprised. Maybe there's somebody that pops up. Maybe there's a YouTube personality. Maybe there's someone who's written some books. Maybe there's someone who's putting together some really interesting content that's directed at your target. Remember that bullseye, especially that ideal client who they're listening to. And so if you can partner with them or co-sponsor or co-market something with them, oh man, like you are putting your brand right front and center alongside somebody that they already trust. And that can go a really long ways towards developing some really great marketing efforts.
Yep. Know yourself, know your client, and win.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. I love it.